Well, hello everyone. You here right here is like for Boone Hospital, like Nifong medical grand opening, and basically that you see right here is I went ahead and put together right here are some photographs that I went ahead and taken. These ones I would have taken today as of February to Saturday, February the 27th, and then these right here would have been taken right around March, I think April of 28th, something like that. I think that was like a Saturday evening too, if I can remember right. Check from last spring that whenever these pictures were taken. But you see right here some images right here I went and put together right here. It's like you talk about that new medical center, over off of I think it's east knife south I think south campus. I guess it says right there for south campus, but part of Nifong, but anyway, but you see right here is like for talk about for the grand opening, and I know that like somebody like me who's a student is studying about a little bit about web design to where that basically about also talking about like for like if it's going to be CSS style and HTML and talk about like anything such as for creating coding for websites and just one of these days, maybe in the near future, to where 4 years from now, that maybe I could be one of these designers that could be putting together a website, something like this, for like a medical center, and at that medical center that could contain a number of information such as that contact us, and then our location, and then the type of business that we do, the doctor's experience, and especially like the medical centers right here. So thinking about is that whenever I look at these images, which I didn't take a whole lot of time really to detour the whole building, but yeah, this right here, but I see the grand opening of this new medical building, right here, in Columbia, Columbia, Missouri, and thinking about, I'm like, if anybody were to wonder that it's like the Boone Hospital Center, is that because I know that off of I think know where the Boone Hospital Center, the Boone Hospital is, but I'm like, yeah, that over there, I guess that would be like east, west, or so of south side of Columbia. But anyway, been a while since I've been there also. But I guess our question goes by saying it's like, yeah, that what exactly does this medical lab do compared to over at the Boone Hospital Center? And you're like wondering to where they have these different medical labs between here and maybe Moberly or Jefferson City that they have about within about maybe 5 or 6 miles that they have these different medical labs, and you're like wondering to where okay, is it purpose about is like that they're just trying to make these medical centers closer to residents, people living nearby, or that they're just want to expand their clinics to where you have a clinic that may do a certain may have an X-ray center, and then they may hire new doctors, doctors that transfer from other states to new labs, and maybe job opportunities, or maybe a number of reasons to why that they want to spend about I would say about on average about maybe $15 million or so, just to build a building. But I could probably say that this, it's a nice building. It looks like a pretty nice building. But on the other hand, that you're like Warren to where that with these different medical labs to where that if you would need to go to a doctor or see a nurse for any reason, and then thinking about, I'm like, yeah, then, do you go to the orthopedic? I'm like, yeah, the last time you've been to a doctor that they may have relocated, because of the grand opening of a new building. And I did a sketch of this, of course, but I did not post it up. But on the other hand, that I'm like, yeah, that I'll just go ahead and use a picture for right now. But you see right here's like for Boone, Boone Hospital at Nifong Medical Building, and thinking about that, like a few other medical labs that have been built, from the past, 3 years, and you're like Warren to where that at the time that it's like there's a lot of medical buildings, but then you're like Warren to where that how many post offices are here in town, and as well as like yeah that post offices, or if it's as far as I know, here around town, if anything, there's only like one shopping mall or some sort. But I know they're probably building almost all over between here and like Macon County, as well as a few other counties and cities and states that they're building up almost all over. But anyway, but you see right here is like example right here, like you have right here is that this right here, if I can remember right, this looks like it was taken from from the north, so, north, south, east or west. I'm like, I don't think I even toured the west part of the building or so, but you got these front parts, to say the side parts of the building that I took the pictures of. But I was also thinking about doing some work on Photoshop too. But this reminds me of whenever I was a kid. That whenever I was in school, that anybody say, "Yeah, you were afraid to go to the nurse," and what was that reason? I'm like, well, yeah, I was afraid to go to a nurse, especially that if I wind up that getting a paper cut, or if it's anything about that, maybe if I fell down or something like that, or that maybe if I wind up getting hurt on something, and you're like Warren, to where that yeah, that especially there at the elementary schools, to where that sometimes our kids afraid to ask to go to the nurse, either if they don't feel very well, or maybe if they fell down or they got hurt on something. So I'm sure that any parents will probably say that try not to hesitate to ask to go to a nurse, especially that yeah, that if incident that happened. And at the time we wondered to where why is it that a lot of times kids are afraid to speak up about yeah, that if they have a headache, or that their tummy hurts or something like that. And you're like, Warren, to where yeah, that I don't know, there may be some kids that may think that really, I don't want you to really feel sorry for me too much of the time, like I here to try to do my work, other than you thinking about. I'm like, oh, do you got a fever? Yeah, did you are you feeling okay? I'm like, do you feel nauseated? Oh, your tummy hurts or something like that. So I'm sure any kids more likely would say is to where that yeah, that they at some point, that like during the time of some event, and then they never bothered to ask to go to a nurse if they wind up getting hurt on something, or if their arm hurts, or maybe if they got a headache, or maybe a nosebleed, whichever it was. But you have right here is this medical building right here. I went ahead and you took these pictures of, and have right here is one whenever it was under construction, and then right here for the grand opening. And I could probably say that yeah, that with most web sites, if it's going to be like developing an internet site based on the hospital, based on like a medical lab, like a hospital or a clinic, and you're like Warren, to where if you would put something like that together, the basic requirements will be like, say one of them could be like yeah, whenever you go to a doctor's visit, and just knowing about the type of insurance plan that you have. So just think about the type of insurance that they accept, in which I know most of them here around Columbia would take like a Medicare, Medicaid, but then like any other type of insurance, I'm sure that you say that some labs that just don't take them, but on their hand that you're like Warren, to where that whichever the insurance that it is accepted, and you're like Warren, to where well let's just say if I got Blue Cross Blue Shield, or if I got that Expirasian, RX or something like that, the type of AARP, or any other type of insurance plan. So thinking about it's like before you can see the doctor is just making sure that you got the insurance, and then maybe one of the reasons to why that maybe any X-rays that were taken from another lab. So thinking about whenever we go to a doctor, especially this medical building right here, you're like Warren, to where that there's quite a few pharmacies, even over there at the South Providence Road at Medical, and so it's like you're like Warren, to where about how many pharmacies that need to be located within those 4 or 5 mile range. So, but on the other hand, I guess you could say that yeah, that like over there, like at the university hospital, where they have like the airlift, helicopter, or maybe I don't know if they would have like their own ambulance, but let's just say that for these different medical centers within the 3 or 4 miles, and you're like Warren, to where it's possible that more doctors and staff that were hired just to work there, and then whenever they had the grand opening. But it looks like a pretty good nice medical center, and I'm sure anybody who needs to see a doctor, that they may not have to drive so far just to go to a doctor, which I'm sure anybody will probably say that yeah, that may have to about maybe 7 miles, maybe 25 miles, just see that. But anyway, you have it there. It's like for Boone Hospital. It's like for the grand opening. Thanks for watching, man. Make 25 and have a great day.